Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Good morning.
Good morning. How are things going?
Things are good. Very fulfilling these days. A fulfilling schedule.
Nice.
So, yeah, I mean, not a whole lot going on in my world, just showing up for my job and coaching and classes and all the fun stuff, and then planning an event in February. So that's been
Nice.
my world right now. I
Very
do
good.
get to go, though. I do get to go to the wall after this. I got to go to the Wallapies to help decorate a couple cabins for the Wallapai drive-through light show thing. So
Oh,
I've not been to it, but I've heard good things about it. So anyway, so I
that's
get
cool.
to
I haven't heard of it either.
say.
Are you getting time for yourself?
I am. I do take moments of to read and to take some breathing and or do some breathing and stare out the window at the sky.
That's good too. It's
So
refreshing.
yeah. So yeah, things are good.
A bird just flew into the window.
Oh,
Sparrow, right?
like hello.
I mean, they do it all the time. Honestly, we hear it all the time, and it's like Freeman's always saying, "I can't see glass," but it's like because from one of the commercials or something. But it's funny because they do it all the time, and I just saw one just as we were finishing up. Boom, right into the window.
What does the sparrow mean? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know.
So tell me what's going on with you and I'll look that up.
Yeah, everything's going great, really. It's just like lots of realizations, really going a lot of internal work. It's just really on and when I say internal work, that sounds like it's heavy, but it's really not. It's just little things, whatever comes to the surface and questioning a lot of things. I presented to the group, like to think about it, and then Freeman gave me a different perspective on it too. But a lot of things lately, like if my whole goal is feeling the goosebumps all the time. And it's like, so when we're not feeling the goosebumps, are we not having deep enough conversations? Are we not having um, truthful conversations? Is it not all honest, or is it just not hitting the soul? And that was what Freeman brought forward. Maybe that's just the soul, to let you know that there's a confirmation from a soul level instead of from a whether it being truth or untruth. So it's like looking at things differently because I'm at a space I think I've been talking about, but I'm kind of questioning everything. I'm questioning everything because it's like just because someone else says it, if I'm not getting goosebumps, does that mean it's not really resonating with my soul? So I'm kind of looking at things from a different perspective. And I look for those conversations and it's awesome because even I had a client in just this last week and like we're talking about things and getting into that conversation. Next thing you know, it's like goosebumps after goosebumps after goosebumps, like the whole time. It was just freaking amazing. And so I know that that's a possibility. There's those confirmations that this rings true for my soul on a soul level. It's just not on it doesn't mean that it's when I'm having a conversation with someone else that our words with each other are not true. It's just not ringing true to the soul. So now I'm on that, I guess, pursuit. I'm in the flow of, well, what does that look like and how does that feel like? And like, how do you evolve through your day like that with everybody and have conversations on that from that soul level? And it's bringing those people that want to be on their soul level because not everybody's in that space or has an understanding about it or wants to even be in that space. So it's not a judgment, it's just that's what I'm striving for. So now I'm creating more because I'm a master manifester, right? Just like we all are, but I'm creating more circumstances and events for those things to kind of happen.
That's awesome.
It's just,
Great.
yeah. But otherwise I'm curious about everything, right? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
But tell me about this sparrow.
That is so cool. Well, the very first line it says is sparrow is a remarkably busy bird. It's like, oh, here you have it.
So busy, they're running into glass, and that makes sense because we have like
And we're just
hundreds. I mean, we have so many of them come out here because we put a bird bath underneath the tree, and they are out here ridiculously playing and dancing in the water and going after things, flying into the windows like all the time. They are busy. So that's accurate.
yeah, and it says all sparrows are songbirds. They're highly creative in how they maneuver and camouflage themselves. They're masters at flight. I'm just picking some things out as I scroll through this. They're, of course, creature of an air element, but they also have a relationship with water and earth. They have distinct patterns of body language. When when aggravated, they crouch, shoving their head forward, slightly spreading their wings and holding their tail erect. When the wings lift and the beak opens, the message intensifies, often one implying dominance.
Wow.
Say sparrows need to make a sound to get its message across. Silence can be a powerful tool for awareness. I'm sure there's lots more, but anyway.
Good stuff. I like the silence. I was just listening to, oh gosh, one of Alex's interviews. Alex Ferrari on Next Level Soul. Was, I don't know the guy's name. He's some sort of a guru or something, but I was listening to his conversation, and he's talking about being in the space of the silence. Because from silence, we can be in awareness of ourselves. We can be in awareness of, I can sit aside and watch myself as how I'm interacting with you without, and then it's like, it totally changes your interaction.
Yeah.
Like there's a total shift on all bases, all whatever, all levels. You just shift, you just totally shift.
A lot can happen in silence. And even, what you shared with the space that you're in right now is in that silence where we ask, right? We ask those questions so we can receive the information, receive the messages, receive the guidance. But also in that silence, we're focused, we're relaxed, we just be. So, I mean, when I think about my schedule, there's a lot happening, but I also take moments throughout the day to just, right, take that breath and just be for a few moments. And then that brings, allows space for clarity. And it's the desire to want to be in that space. So not everybody wants to be in that space because of their history, their stories, their what they got going on, and holding on into their mind of what they're thinking about. And I mean, really, when it comes down to it, I ask myself this not as often as I used to when I was moving through healing from being control freak and fixer and people pleaser and all this stuff, healing, the heavier emotional wounds that were present. When it came to relevance and importance, I just thought, if I was to die in this moment, would it matter? Would all this stuff that I'm worrying about or thinking about, or the past that I'm thinking, would it matter? Like, is it really that important right now? Is it really important right now that my husband didn't fill the dishwasher correctly, quote unquote, correctly? Right. So those things like that, like, okay, so how can I regroup? Well, in this moment, I can just take a breath and just let that be, and then focus on something else if I want to, or just be and focus on the breath. So in the beginning of learning to be in the silence, it's learning to create the silence. And a lot of that is that people don't know how to be with themselves in silence. And it's very uncomfortable, especially people who are chatterboxes, like they just want to talk, 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 talk. They don't like that silence. It's the I hate to say challenge. The challenge is, however, learning to be in that silence is take some work, take a lot of practice. So,
and taking a look at those patterns, right? Like, so we talked about recently, even when I just was exhausted, didn't feel like doing anything, but feeling that unworthiness, because worthiness to me meant that I was doing something, I was accomplishing something,
yeah.
not just for myself, but for someone else to appreciate, or someone else to make a comment of, or was I a good girl, along those kind of conversations. But we train our kids. We do, all of us. I mean, I feel like if they're doing a great job, you're like celebrating it and it's good, good, good. And you're telling them you want more of this. And it's like, it's great as long as this person's being an individual and not feeling like they're having to do all these things in order to jump through hoops to get that kudos and the attaboy and all that stuff. And it's recognizing the things that we're doing and appreciating them for ourselves, the things that we did, like, great job. Just like cleaning the house and sitting back and recognizing how much it feels so much better to sit in that space afterwards, and the accomplishment of it. But it's also something else I've been surrendering. So it's like, to me, when you're quiet, you're surrendering. You're surrendering, like, your thoughts. You're surrendering the mind. You're surrendering all these things to be in that space of that peace. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's recognizing, what are you surrendering? I kept thinking before, I'm surrendering all these blocks within me, like acknowledging that I have these blocks in me, that there's something wrong that I have to surrender. And then recognizing, yesterday, I'm surrendering beliefs, because Freeman had brought to my attention, when we believe something, a belief can be changed. But when you have a knowing, when you have faith in something, you just have faith in it. It just is. And how often do we say that we believe in ourselves but not have faith in ourselves? So these conversations, if you presented it to me the other day, and I was like, holy shit, that's a really good concept, because my mind really hooked onto it. And then so yesterday I'm driving in to go do group, and I'm feeling like I'm surrendering those beliefs. I'm surrendering all my beliefs, because our beliefs, I feel, limit us. They keep us limited. They keep us in a space. They keep us in, I've got to work in order to make money. I've got to sell something in order to make money. Like, we're only allow ourselves certain avenues because we believe that's a possibility, instead of having a knowing and having faith that we're always being supported and taken care of. And it's like, when you step into that space, then it kind of wipes away the beliefs. You're not, like, allowing yourself to just receive from your beliefs. And it's so crazy, because our beliefs are formulated from what we were taught from whoever was around us, the TV, the parents, the teachers, the friends, the whatever. So I just find it interesting. It's just been a pleasant process. And I've been talking about writing these letters, and it's so something else, writing these letters you're never going to send. But there's like a time to write those letters. Sometimes I've told people, we'll go sit home and write it. Well, how about as soon as you notice, because I've sat down to write the letters in that space, and I don't, it's like, then I'm like, oh, wishy-washy, oh, well, thank you for being always there for me. And then my conversation changes, because I'm not in that space right then when I feel that angst.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I have that angst and I'm like going to write that letter, that's like an ideal time for me to write that letter, to get all of this energy out of myself. Because to me, there's like I said, there's a time and place, and sometimes you just don't feel it. And maybe I'm past that feeling part. I don't know. We'll find out. Because I had the experience, and I wrote the letter, and I didn't have any of the animosity or the anger or any of the feelings that I had when I wrote it. So it wasn't the same. But on the other side of that, it's a good realization to know that I sat down and didn't have those feelings. I was searching for those feelings and trying to get them on the paper, but it wasn't coming forward. So I know if there's another time and I have this angst that comes forward, or this anger or these emotions, that's the perfect time always to have a notebook with you. Because I've even sat in my truck and wrote. So it's like just having that capability. We've got our phones too, but for me, I like to get the pencil to the paper.
Yeah.
So it just makes it kind of nice. And besides, it's flowing like from that tip, it's like flowing directly from your energy onto that paper. And you think about that, it's not just a ritual. you're actually taking that energy from this physical being, transferring it down the pencil, down to the tip, transferring it to that paper, ripping that paper out, and then burning it. You're again, to me, it's you're setting yourself, you're free. You're surrendering all the stuff you don't have to carry it anymore. I don't feel like carrying it anymore. And that's kind of where I'm at. So whatever comes forward, I don't feel like carrying it. I don't feel like carrying the beliefs anymore. I don't. So it's like I'll go in that whatever direction I'm kind of being guided to, or I feel guided to, or I feel passionate about. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I agree with the writing. And if, somebody feels like getting a pen and paper just isn't in your wheelhouse in that moment. I just did this the other day. You scream. I was home by myself, but something happened that really just got my attention. And I just screamed the F word as loud as I could and felt all that aggression in my body. And then I was like, okay, there you have it. That's how I feel. And then I laughed at myself. It's like, and then I went about my day. So, it's like, feel that energy, move that energy, do something to, but yes, I absolutely, especially in the beginning of learning to release those heavy emotions or do some healing around pen and paper, or like, to me, is like the best tools is that pen and paper to just write it out and get it out, move that, like you were saying, move that energy, and use those swear words, use capital letters, use the exclamation points, use the underlining, bold print, do like, it's feeling that emotion but also moving that energy at the same time. And we're emotional beings, so that's part of and we don't have to hang on to those heavy emotions all the time. So it's sometimes, if you're out in the grocery store and something's happening and you're feeling these emotions, and somebody's being aggressive towards you, or whatever it's working, maybe you had a phone conversation. I mean, obviously, right in that moment in the middle of the grocery store, you may not have a pen and paper and start writing, but do it as soon as possible while you're still in that energy, for sure.
Yeah, it seems to be most beneficial. And I'm not saying that it's not beneficial both ways, because ever since I wrote the letter, I feel, I just feel different. I don't feel like
So many,
clinging on to anything.
yeah.
But I also know that I just kept looking for those feelings that I was feeling before when I would talk about it, and it's like I didn't have those feelings right then, which
Yeah.
is also a great indicator of where I was at right then. It's just where I was at. But I felt like I needed to do it, and my intuition was guiding me to do it even prior to that. But it's like I kept putting it off till I had the time to sit still, and then by the time I sat still, a lot of that energy had dissipated already, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But it's just something I recognized, and it was like, wow, well, I know it could have been beneficial if I would have sat down immediately when I was feeling that way. Excuse me, ma'am, I'll be with you in just about 15 minutes. I got to write something over here before I put hands on you. Yeah, it somehow doesn't seem like it might go as well as I might think it will. Even though I would probably say that my clients would be like, oh, okay, no worries. Take your time,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Well, I also have to say, what I would say too is, we've been on this journey for a while of having the awareness of when we're not feeling good in ourselves with the emotional state, and being able to switch that fairly quickly. So by the time the incident happened, or the feelings happened with you, and the time you picked up the pen and paper, there was some processing that happened in that time frame, that by the time you got to the pen and paper, all that heaviness wasn't there. Whereas if you think back when you first started the journey of doing some healing, like, those feelings were there for days and weeks.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it could have happened a week ago, and I can pick up pen and paper right now and start writing and still be in it because I was hanging on to it. And similar to you, like, moving through that stuff gets easier and quicker the more you've practiced it. So just know that, Bev and I have been practicing this not like for years.
Yeah. And we don't wallow in it as long. Did I before? Yeah. And it's like I tell clients, I ask clients or I ask friends, like, yeah, but how fast did you get through it this time? Because
Right.
that's a good marker, and that gives you an indication. Oh my gosh, I'm changing. Like I'm going. All this effect that I wanted to change in my life, it's happening. It may not be happening as fast as I think it should happen. It may not be happening. Maybe I'm not noticing it as much, but it's happening. And it's those times when you have the friend that says, or the therapist or whoever you're talking to, they give you that opportunity to kind of like ask or give you that information, because I've had so many people that I've been seeing for so long, and I would say, "Well, remember when you used to do this?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. I haven't done that in forever." Because we don't pay attention to it. So it's nice that we can pay attention to those kind of things. And it's to me, it's just spirit reminding us to say something to the other person, because it helps to let them know. It helps to we started to say in the beginning of this, I don't remember what the situation was, but we receive information, and a lot of times we'll hold back on it. We'll hold back on it because we think it didn't matter. But it's like even asking a question. Oh, even asking the question, are we getting set up on Facebook? So that I had an idea of how much time, because Facebook takes maybe a couple of seconds, and then hooking up to Zoom's like right now. So I wanted to make sure, but you were like, oh yeah, thanks for the reminder. And those are the little things. Those are the little big things. They're big things, because otherwise we would have gone into our recording, and then you would have maybe felt like, maybe for a second, like, oh gosh, I didn't set up on Facebook. Oh well, divine time. It's all divine time. And so it's looking at all those kind of things. So it's just a different space to be in. Now I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sparrows sitting at the window, looking into the window. WTH.
You guys
That's They're all sitting at the bottom of the window. They're all looking in here. It's like they're like out of water or something. I don't know, but that was crazy. So, but little awesome things, and it's paying attention to all those little details, because there's messages all around us.
yeah.
Life is exciting, or it can be,
An eight
but we
is
don't know.
a number.
Do what?
That an eight is an infinity number.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, you're talking about the helping your clients understand or have acknowledgement of how much better they're doing than they were like
yeah.
months previous, right? I did that yesterday with I made an acknowledgement of a student's been around for several years, and she met a new person in the class, and I said, I just made the acknowledgement of him, like, standing before you is this person who was like so many of us, feeling lost and broken and heavy in our emotions and hanging on to things, right? And just acknowledging her for where she was, and then where she is today, and how, like, she's standing up taller, her eyes are sparkling, she's got this beautiful smile, like, just having that awareness and acknowledging people for that, because that's, doing healing work. Whew, that's like being into the trenches, man. It's like, swimming through that mud, and feeling, a lot of times feeling alone in it. And then, to have somebody acknowledge you of how well you're doing, and um, how much you've changed. It really, I mean, she just like brightened up even more because I did that. And it was just so beautiful to be in that moment with her. And also as a teacher and coach with her for all this time, is the honor of being able to witness that. That's why I keep doing this, is being able to witness those changes for people. So it's a blessing.
It is a blessing, and it helps us to look at ourselves and see how far we've came as well. And it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome because you just don't feel the same feelings anymore. And at first it seems kind of almost scary, because now you're like, what am I supposed to do now? Where am I going to go with this? And then you'll see people kind of go back to the drama, the trauma, the bad relationships, and the bad relationship could be with self too. But it's just interesting to see all that. But again, we don't spend that much time in here because it's like, oh God, no, this feels like crap. And it's like, I'm glad that we're feeling beings, because otherwise, how will we feel passions? You know, how will we feel a passion to guide us? And I was listening to, oh my gosh, what's his name? He channels Bashar, Daryl Inca. And he's talking about how he's just always following his passions. And not only is he just doing the channeling, but he's like always following his passions because he likes to create films and everything else. So there's other things that he likes to do, but it's all about the passions. And Alex had even asked him a question. I guess this is probably their fourth interview, but had asked him a question about, do you think how do you think channeling is going to go? And he says, well, the thing is, anytime you're in that space when you're playing the game, or you're standing in front of a group, or you're playing the guitar, or you're whatever you're doing, and you're in that space of that connectedness, and you have information flowing through that feel good energy, you're channeling. And he says that he feels like it probably we're going to have more of a recognition of it happening from everybody, and it's not going to be something. I see it probably not going to be something as we're going to have like a few people doing it. It's just all are going to be doing it, and it's going to evolve into something else.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I sat here and said, oh, I just want to channel, I want to channel, I just want to channel, to me that was a belief that I was having before, but it's like that's limited. And to me, there's so much more than channeling, but it's to bring forward this information. And so it's now I don't feel like I have an agenda. It's just it just what is what it is. I'm following whichever direction to go in. And it's exciting because there's no end goal. And that's what it feels like when you talk about being psychic medium, or whatever your plans are, like whatever you're planning on doing. There's no end goal. That's only a one place to get from one place to the next. And you're getting to know yourself along the way. And maybe like you have done, maybe it is just getting to know yourself better and better and better. Maybe it isn't anything to do with any of those things that we can do for others, because we can do millions of things for others. We channel on a regular basis. We can receive information as a psychic medium just with someone at the store and saying something, and we may not think it's any big deal at all, but it was a big deal to them. And that's what the whole purpose is. That's what all of it is about anyways. It's bringing forward information. And it's like, people will say, well, how did you know that? And it just came to me right now. So it's like, it's just confirmation for you. So it's like, it's not that I'm the guru, or I'm it. It's just that you have an asking, the answers are always going to come, and it's going to come from all kinds of messages. It's going to come from 8 sparrows staring at you in a window, or a sparrow running into a window, or for me, I was seeing Roadrunner every single time. And then all of a sudden the Roadrunner wasn't crossing the road in front of me. It was waiting for me at the side of the road. So that was an interesting process too. And seeing a deer, and a deer, what are they doing in that moment? Are they just standing and watching you? Are they running? There's so much information that we have available to us. And then then at that particular moment, when we see those things, you check in with yourself, and what was I thinking? What was I saying? What was I doing?
Yeah.
Messages. We have them all over the place. All over the place.
It's also different though, because if you're not having that awareness that messages are coming all the time to help us, and we receive the information, like we've asked the question, we receive the information, but now we're justifying or trying to be, push it away. But when a stranger or somebody comes up and says blah blah blah, answering the question that you've been asking internally, now you listen, because you're like, wait, I was just thinking about that. Now it's got your attention. So it goes back to that, what you were saying as far as faith and beliefs. When we don't have that within ourselves, then when we do receive the information within us, we disregard it and think, oh, I'm just making that up or something. But when some random person, or even a friend, because how do they know that you've been asking these questions or thinking about a certain topic or wanting some guidance, and they just show up and they just start having conversation, and you're like, wait, what's happening right now? Because they didn't know I had this stuff going on inside me, right? So you listen, because now it's something external validating or affirming whatever it is you have going on inside. And learning to lean on that and listen to that more and more. Again, everything we teach is a practice. You got to practice, practice, practice.
Does get easier though. It really does.
It gets easier, and it also makes life more enjoyable. Contribute. It doesn't make it, it contributes. Let me change my words. It contributes to life being more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Having that guidance. So, and learning how to use it.
And it's a choice. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
as with everything, it's a choice. It's a choice to stay in the muck of things, or it's a choice to kind of evolve from things. And I think the more that you stay in the space of you're growing and you're not staying in those spaces that you would have stayed in before, your life does totally transform.
Yeah. All right. Well, my friend, we're kind of call it a little shorter today, and we got a lot of information just in that short time, as we always do. I just have to say kudos to us. We can have self-acknowledgement. So thank you for being here and taking the time to have this conversation. And we appreciate the time and energy of those who are watching, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Always, even if the replay, if you're watching the replay, leave your questions and comments, because we come back to them, we look at them and we respond to them. So doesn't matter if it's going to be, a week or 6 months from now, you can still post your comments. And be sure to share us, let other people know we exist, and because they might need this information as well, and you're going to be that resource to share. So and everything is helpful, right? And it's all for free, so just saying.
Sure. Yeah. And enjoy the journey.
That's right. Enjoy the journey, make it an amazing day. That's your responsibility, and how you show up in life and how you perceive, right? How you perceive what's happening around you. So with that, thank you so much for being here. Any final words? We're
Have a
good.
great week. That's right.
All right. All right, my friends, make it an incredible day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.